Hello everybody, how's it going? It's me, Crendor, and welcome back to Crendor Talks in front of a shitty green screen. Today, we're talking about the new General's Handbook 2023, GHB Season 3, whatever it is. I don't know what it's going to be. We don't know anything about it yet, really, except for the fact that it's coming out in the summer. And I know that I'm pretty tired of the current GHB. Like, it's okay. So I always like to make this type of video and kind of give my opinion about what I think of the current one and then what I want from the new one, right? So that's kind of what I'm doing here today. So let's kick things off about the primary themes and the current GHB and some of the past ones. So we've had the Monster GHB, we've had the Galician Veteran GHB, and now we have the Galician Champion GHB. So we've had three different things, right? And I think Monsters was fun, but it sucked if you didn't have any monsters in your army, which some armies don't, so that's unfortunate. And then I thought GHB, what was it, season? I don't even know what these seasons are. Like, I guess that was season 1, so then season 2, or wait, no, but there's season, whatever. The Galician Veteran one. That one sucked because everyone just took bounty hunters. So it was supposed to be about infantry, and it ended up being about taking things that counter infantry. It was so dumb. It's essentially like, oh, this year in baseball, we're going to focus on hitting home runs. And then everybody just focus. It ends up being like a pitcher's duel or something, right? Like, you're like, oh, I guess it was supposed to be about home runs, but everybody's just countering home runs with like really good pitching. It's like that type of thing where it's like, oh, okay, whatever. And then Galician Champions have been okay. They've been okay. So going forward, I guess there's a few things you could focus on. There's like elite infantry, there's cavalry. I guess you could argue that they had their time in the Galician Veteran bounty hunter meta. But you know, maybe something actually involving them being a focal point could be cool. Magic would be another one. I guess priests. I guess you could tie priests and like magic stuff together, because otherwise not every army has priests, not every army has magic, right? So you could, you know, do something with that. And then, you know, there's probably something else I can't think of it, but there's always the option of like just making an overall generalized GHB as well. I always thought that'd be a fun idea, just encouraging a whole bunch of army variety. But I think you could also do that through battle tactics. So no matter what it is, I kind of want to talk about battle tactics next, because battle tactics in the first season seemed really easy, right? Like something like have a monster control an objective. Well, you could just control your own objective that he's already standing on. So that was a really easy one. You had like run 3 monsters and you get like an extra point. One was like kill a thing with a monster and it gets an extra point. Like they just give you so many points, and it was just, it felt too easy season 1. Then I actually don't even remember many of the season 2 battle tactics. I know some of them were from this current season, like eye for an eye, desecrate their lands, like some of those that are really easy. Also carried over this GHB. And some of them, like, I'm like, okay, you know, I'm fine with them keeping these. Like, I think desecrate their lands is actually a good battle tactic. It encourages having some sort of deep strike unit that can get into their territory, or maybe you save desecrate their lands so that you can do it later in the game when you've already marched into their territory and try to control some terrain. Like, I think desecrate's fine. I think eye for an eye is pretty good, right? You're like, I lost a unit, now I gotta kill something of yours. I think that's cool. There's always the kill a unit and then control more than they do, so I think that one's okay. A lot of times if you do that, it feels like you've already kind of swung the game in your favor, like you're killing their stuff and you control more than they do. Like, all right, it might be over by that point. And then the biggest issue I have with a lot of the battle tactics ends up tying into whatever the theme is. Like for the Galician Champions, there's Cunning Maneuver, which is like control an objective outside your territory with a Galician Champion. Or he has to be standing on it or something, right? And then that's like it. And so everybody does Cunning Maneuver, and that's been really the only thing I've done with Galician Champions, is like you have your champion, your shitty like foot hero guy, right? And they always have Tunnel Master, so they can just teleport, and you teleport onto a thing to complete Cunning Maneuver, or you complete Cunning Maneuver, and then you teleport off of it the next turn, to go support your units that their role is for, right? That's essentially what I've done with it. And then all the other battle tactics just feel like they're not very good. They're just overly complex, or they involve the opponent having Galician champions. I think that's one of my biggest problems I've had with a lot of the battle tactics. That's what happened with Galician veterans as well, is a lot of the battle tactics weren't like, oh, take some Galician veterans and go do a thing. They were like, kill your opponent's Galician veterans. So everyone was like, well, I'm not going to take any because then they can't get their battle tactic. Like, why are we designing this? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, make it so the thing that is the focal point of the season has to do something. Right? Like, that's what it should be, you know? I don't know. Like, have a Galician veteran go contest an objective and hold it. Or just control it. Control an enemy objective. Control an objective outside your territory with a Galician veteran. Like, it should have been like that, where it encourages you to be active, going to do something, not relying on your opponent to bring something you have to kill. Like, I don't know. You already have things you have to kill with, like, eye for an eye and all these other things. Right? I think it was dumb. And so Galician champions pretty much had that same type of thing outside of a couple of them. And then it was like, you know, kill Galician champions with your Galician. Like, okay, let me use my 5 attacks, 3x3s, -1/2 damage that every foot hero has. Like, it just becomes like a who can do better on their 5 attacks. So, I don't know. I think that one was pretty dumb too. And then the overarching, like, abilities you got for Galician champion, like the bodyguard thing, it was just complicated for no reason. It was, I don't know. It was okay, but I'm ready to move on. Which it's one of the only good things. I'm like, dude, thank God these are 6 months because we can get out of here. when the GHBs are mediocre, like not great, it's like, oh, thank God we're moving on to the next one fast. So that's what I'm hoping for in this new GHB. I would really enjoy if they kept some of those good battle tactics I mentioned, like the eye for an eye, desecrate, you know, some that I think are easy enough to understand and get done, but can be complicated and can also be countered in some way, right? If you're like, oh, my opponent's going to be trying to desecrate, I'm going to, you know, put some stuff around terrain to make it so they can't deep strike or it's going to be hard to get to. And then they're like, ah, geez, what do I do? You know, counterplay. And so I would really enjoy if not only the counterplay thing, but if it included variety. So, for example, we had all these monster battle tactics, right, in Season 1, and then they just, like, got rid of them. And I was like, why? Like, why don't we have, like, one battle tactic, right? Just one. We only need one that's, like, have a monster do something. Like, have a monster go kill a unit. Or maybe have a monster go kill a unit that has 1 or 2 wounds as their wound characteristic, right? Go kill some, like, chaff thing. Or have a monster go kill something that has higher than 4 wound. Like, I don't know. Like, something that it just encourages you to bring a monster to do something with. Because I enjoy the fact that if you have a battle tactic like that, you get more army variety. And so a lot of people that have monsters in their army are like, oh, you know what? Maybe I bring this monster so I can complete this one battle tactic. Like, you can build your army around battle tactics in a way, and then your opponent sees that, and they're like, oh, they must be going for the monster battle tactic. I'm going to try to counter that, you know, by deploying differently or trying to take their monster out fast or whatever it might be, right? It encourages some sort of counterplay because they know what you're trying to do, and they can try to stop it. And then, you know, but you might not have to do that. Maybe you do some other... maybe you also play for another battle tactic, right? You just have a nice, customized kind of variety army instead of just spam one thing or like spam bounty hunter, right? Like I think it's more fun when you have a variety of stuff and a variety of battle tactics and a variety of ways to play the game. And I don't think it makes it more complex. If anything, it makes it more complex when you have a bunch of these random champion Galician things to do and nobody wants to do any of them because they're just like too much. It's too much. Just let me bring a monster and go eat something, right? Like, I don't know, kill a hero with a monster. Boom, there you go, right? Just have that. Kill a hero with a monster. And then you know for a fact that hero might get hit by a monster at some point. You got to protect them. You know what I mean? Like, boom. So anyway... That's what I would really like from battle tactics, is just a little more encouragement of variety in playstyle. And then grand strategy, I would also like just I don't even know, man. I almost don't like grand strategies as a concept because it's almost like everyone's like, oh wait, did we pick our grand strategy? Oh yeah, I forgot. What do you want to do? Have more things in the opponent's territory. And it's like, yeah, I'll do that. Because your armies are gonna go blep, and then they kind of whoop, and then they back up into your opponent's territory, right? Or if you both clash and then this person wins, they're probably gonna get more in your territory and then they win anyway. So it doesn't even matter. Like, if you're gonna do grand strategies, I think they have to be a bit more, almost like specialized. They should be like a very unique type of bonus, I think, instead of just some generic thing. Because right now it feels like you might as well not even do them. You know what I mean? Like they just feel so dumb. So I don't know how I would actually change that, but I think I would make them more specialized. So it's almost like a side quest of like this overarching thing. Like, I don't know. I would have to like sit down and actually really think this out. But all I know now is that they're dumb and nobody even really likes to do them. And then it's like, all right, whatever. So then we have battle plans. Battle plans are another interesting one because there's so many bad battle plans that I feel like they kept from the last book for no reason. I'm like, why'd they keep this one? And then there's a couple battle plans that I really enjoy. So one is Prize of Galette, which is the one where it's like there's 5 objectives, and then every turn, the player that goes second chooses one to turn on. And I actually really like that a lot because it encourages thinking about what you want to do with the double turn. Like, anytime you get a double turn and you have to think about whether you want to go first or second, I think is like the best type of battle plan, right? Because if there's not, then the other person's like, well, I'm going first, I double turn you, right? I get the advantage. But if you're like, oh, and then Jaws of Galette, you know, kind of the same thing. Like, all right, you can go first, but I'm going to burn an objective, and I'm going to burn the one in your territory you're standing on. And then your opponent's like, oh, well, maybe I don't want to go first then. Maybe I'd rather burn your objective and then let you go, right? So I think that's what I enjoy from a battle plan, is when it encourages thinking and strategizing about turn order. That, and I also like when it's very easy to set up your units and not like, here's the deployment zone, and then it's like, be 9 inches back from here, and you're just like, just make it a box, all right? Or just a long line, or just something, you know? They like to get a little too crazy with those deployment zones. But I would just like more basic battle plans, right? Like, you know, have a couple of those where it encourages like double turn stuff back and forth. Have like a couple kind of advanced crazy battle plans, do what you want, and then have just a couple like really normal basic ones. Like, there's 4 objectives on the board. You score 1, you score 2, you score more, and here's some basic deployment zones, go play. That's it, right? Like, very simplistic things that a tournament's gonna see and go, wow, that's a very balanced battle plan, let's use that, right? Like, I think they need a couple more of those and a couple less of the crazy wacky ones. But you can still have your crazy wacky ones, right? Just, you know, just cut off a few and do some basic ones. That's all I want. Then we have command abilities and spells. These are okay in the current... Actually, yeah. There's the one spell, you just nuke an objective, and then that's that. That's kind of a crazy spell. Although I always forget about it. I'm like, oh yeah, I know that spell because it's just, we're in the GHB. I remember back in the monster one, there was the thing of like, have your monster fight at top bracket for a command point. That was actually a cool general, or command point, generalized command point thing, ability. And then there was a spell, I think, to also turn something into a monster, if I remember correctly. All I remember was I did it in the Ossiarch Bone Reapers, because you would turn one of your things into a monster and then score, you would run 3 forward and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, I think the command abilities and spells can be fun. They're not really something I care that much about. I think as long as they're not broken, like, whatever. You know, if they're, like, a nice little bonus. Like, I think that having a monster fight at top bracket for a command point is fine. Like, that type of thing. You know, especially if it focuses on the theme of the season, right? So, you know, I'm not too crazed about making these wacky or wild or over the top, but you know, if it's a nice little bonus to the season, cool, whatever. And then The last thing I really want to focus on is points, because points always get adjusted when a new GHB comes out, and there are some things that I am so confused how they are still so overcosted. And so I'm hoping that some of those things just go down in points. I always do love the point adjustments. I think they're a great part of the season. It's a time for them to kind of look over all the armies, see what's broken, see what's, you know, underperforming, overperforming, whatever, and just, you know, give it some adjustments. And it's always nice because that always encourages different units to appear, for people to play other types of armies and mix things up. And God, my biggest wish list for point adjustments, please lower the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth down a lot, please. He costs like 270 or something. He has no plus to cast, and he's, I guess he can get the general skill of like +1 to cast per round, so maybe that's why I don't give him +1 to cast. But still, for like 270 points, you get little, what's his name, Scragrot or whatever. Dude's like casting out his ass. He can like move the moon, and he cost like 135. And they just bumped him up in points to like 200. He's still busted. But Dragon Ogre Shaggoth just sitting up there 270. He has like no defense mechanic. He doesn't even have like a ward save. He doesn't even have a ward save, and he's just like, he's my general. Oh yeah, he's got like a 4 or 5 up save, no ward. Like somebody could just like throw a water balloon at him and he dies. Like, come on, man. Please just drop his points. So that's one, if you couldn't tell. I'm a little passionate about the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth. I just think he's a fun model, and I just want to play him, and I can't, because every time I want to play him, it's like, God, this thing is just, it's so many points for just, it's so bad. You know? Some other things I would really like to go down in points are, well, Seraphon just came out, so I don't think they're going to do a lot of Seraphon point adjustments just because the book's like just about to get here and we've already had the book, you know. But I would really enjoy if the Engine of the Gods went down in points, because right now it's really bad. Stegodon should probably go down. Lord Croak should probably go up. I don't know why they dropped him like 55 points. That made no sense. And then a lot of the other Seraphon things I think should go down. Croxagors need, okay, I don't even care. Croxagors should go down like 10 points each for like War Spawn and normal Croxagors. And they should also just be -1 to be wounded. They shouldn't just be like -1 to be wounded in shooting. Or if you don't want to do that, just give them 5 wounds. Like, I feel like they're these big giant lizard men and they only have 4 wounds and a 4-up save and no ward, and they're just -1 to be wounded while shooting. Like, that's it. Like okay, like, I don't know. They feel like they should be a tankier thing. Like, these are some big, like, shredded crocodile men with all this like armor on, and they're like, yeah, these things melt. You know, like, just give them -1 to be wounded, man. I don't know. This could also just turn into me ranting about points, but I don't want to do that. I'm also very excited about point adjustments is what I'm getting at. I'd also like a lot of the Cruel Boys things to drop in points or just get fixed. They just need they need something, man. I love the big Cruel Boy Shaman Vulture guy, and the fact that he doesn't even have like +1 to cast. I don't know why that's not a thing. He's like a centerpiece model. He's this shaman on a big-ass vulture, and he can't get +1 to cast? Like, are you kidding me? Meanwhile, Thanquil, you know, a little Skaven rat man on another rat's like +3? Like, come on. Just give him +1 at least, you know? And then, but once per game, he gets a 3d6 unbind. Wow, once per game. Unbelievable. Okay. We're good. The orcs need a lot of help, is what I'm getting at there. So, I'm excited to see what happens. And I'm excited for the new GHB because it's always a fresh start. So let me know in the comments section down below what you want from the new GHB, or point adjustments, or whatever it might be, and any comments you might have about anything I talked about. So thank you very much for listening and watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and I'll see you next time. Okay? Okay. See ya.